listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay. All right, folks, we're on. It's Thunder Thursday. We got a special guest today, Val Dwyer.
Yes, happy Christmas.
Wow. Eve. This is Tony Marmo.
Val Dwyer.
Why don't you give me a flash?
Oh, flash. Boom.
Got Harrington in the studio this morning. Hi, Keith.
Oh, my God. Can't believe it's Scott Harrington, the man, the myth, the legend, in the studio.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me today.
Oh,
I am
great to
thrilled
have you,
to
man.
be here.
Europe, visiting for the holidays, Christmas holiday.
Visiting my family, my kids,
Yeah.
the Spada clan.
Right.
Thrilled to be here. And we'll be even more thrilled to get back. It's cold here. It's cold.
Yeah. No kidding.
This is nothing. I think I heard, and I don't know if this is still true, but it was on the forecast that it was supposed to snow on Christmas.
Yeah,
Is that
briefly.
still supposed to
Briefly.
happen?
I mean, it's going to be like flurry types.
We'll get you a little
but
white
Thanks,
cap.
because I wasn't dreaming of a white Christmas.
Yeah. If you're used to 75, 29 is.
I was in the pool Monday, dude.
Well, would it really be the same being in Florida on Christmas when it's warm?
You know, one of the neat things that you learn, number one, the people that where I live, we've made friends with our neighbors, and they're just the loveliest people, welcoming,
amazing, by the way.
warm, kind. I mean, most people are retired or semi-retired, but Christmas is a big deal there. We had the city of St. Augustine is famous around the world for its Nights of Lights. It lights up on
cool.
November the 20th.
Oh, wow.
A huge
Boats, too?
There's a boat parade.
Yep.
There's a huge event. I was in the midst of it. A big surprise at the party. Probably, I don't know, 10,000 people there.
Wow.
The city is full, and at 6:30 they hit the switch and they light the entire city up in white lights.
Sheesh.
In our neighborhood, we did it with the little bags with the candles.
Oh,
A
right,
votive
on
can,
the-
like a
yeah,
votive
Votive.
can.
like
Yeah,
little-
bags
like
and
on
white
the
votive
ground,
can.
yeah.
Must have been amazing,
The
yeah.
entire village of Marsh Creek.
Yeah, great.
All the neighbors went and got their bags and candles. It's beautiful.
Now, you were saying
They love Christmas.
earlier, Yvonne is retiring at some point.
Right? I've been talking about that for the last 4 years. I think. I feel like I have been. Yeah.
I thought
feel like
that
I have
happened
been.
too. I
You
thought
say,
it
okay,
was
what
fun
June, when?
My lovely wife is
Great.
our listeners might remember. She's the assistant superintendent in Walk Hill. I'm so proud of her. She's
Yeah.
had a phenomenal career and impacted thousands of
Yeah,
children's
she's
lives
amazing.
in a positive way. But January 31st is her last day.
Well, okay. You
I
sure of
have
that?
to tell you.
Yeah.
Sure of that?
Well, we turned in the papers.
Yes. Well, I got to tell you, she has well earned that retirement because it is a difficult, challenging time
Yeah.
for anyone in the administration or in the teaching
It is for
position
sure.
right now. So
Before we get on schools for a minute, though, can I?
Sure, appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
want to
Val.
ask Lawrence, who's getting his news from the New York Post today. Any good
Today's
news?
not so good.
How is the Happy Christmas Fund doing?
It's doing great. I tracked down the last 8,000.
Okay.
And I am, is vigorously the right word? Vigorously collecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enthusiastically collected.
Enthusiastically.
Yeah, better, Scott.
That's a better
Very
word.
Good word.
That's
Good
why
word.
he was here for so long.
I know.
Always had the
I
right
know.
words.
I know.
Yeah, so it's all good. It looks like the final is going to be around 73,
Okay.
maybe 74, because you said some.
Yeah, you don't
more-
announce that
I'm
yet,
not going
'cause
to
he-
bring it up. I'm not.
Yeah, don't bring
we
it,
got some
yeah.
more monies
That's
that are coming
yeah.
in next week.
Yep.
From from people that haven't pledged yet. So our best year ever.
good.
At top last year's, thanks to Val, who raised about 10 grand herself.
Wow.
So,
you
in her
something.
first, in 29 minutes, Scott. She came
It's a lot of
stacked with
pressure.
checks. She did an excellent job.
Amazing.
That means you need to
Everybody
do 30
did it.
next
That's
year.
why that's a
30
lot of
next year,
pressure.
Everybody did an excellent job. We had 6 new people that were on this year, new hosts,
Yeah.
Ed Alio, Val. Everybody did an amazing job to make this year's best ever. The cards are out. The gift cards
Great.
went out.
That's what the
2
bottom
weeks ago
line is.
today. Yeah, as far as I know, I've been speaking with all the social workers and the nurses. They all have their cards. The families, for the most part, have their cards. Some get lost in the mail, but for the most part, everybody's good. And the best year ever. We did notice though that there were quite a big list, but the children in Ulster County, there's not as many kids in school as there were, like, say, 5-6 years ago.
Just pure numbers, you mean?
The actual numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still
Enrollment's declining, I think.
Yeah.
right?
You're
I mean,
with
that's
I
Scott.
can tell you where they are, yeah.
Down in Florida.
Their parents all moved to Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee,
No,
and
but
Texas.
I think there's a more logical explanation that birth rates have dropped.
That's
right.
that's what me and my mother were
and-
thinking.
yeah,
0.01% is all they're up this
Yeah.
year, the lowest ever
Yeah,
in history.
yeah. People not maybe they're having fun, but they're not
They're
making babies.
probably fighting with everything going on. It's like,
Elon Musk
You would think
recommends
that-
you go out and have lots of
Fight.
kids.
Oh,
Make babies.
I almost said it.
Make babies.
Yeah.
make love, not war.
There you go.
Now
Much
more.
better, much
I
better.
like that. That's very good. So that's good. The underwriters, all the folks that supported the Happy Christmas Fund and KCR this year. So we are thankful for that at this time of the year. Time of thanks, right? It's a great time. I think everyone should be feeling peaceful, shouldn't they?
I feel kind of crazy right now.
Is that because you're looking at my sweater
Well, maybe that has something
It's
to
bright.
do with
Isn't it
but
bright?
just-
It's bright.
and it jingles?
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is
got a
It's a
Christmas.
sticker.
Is
got a
the it's got that should have a beer can in it, but yeah.
I know it's got a cup of coffee in it right now.
Straw.
A little Joey
Isn't Christmas
pouch.
the day we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ?
That
And
is
that's what
correct.
Christmas is about, or should be about.
Correct. Yep.
And
Yeah.
my new home
Yeah.
is a very faith. It's a big
Faith-based.
faith-based community, and
Good.
so that gets rung home to me regularly.
Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, no, it's,
That's nice.
but yeah, I think we need just a ton of peace all over the place, right?
Don't we?
Peace on
Wow.
earth. We do. So, look, we
And
get
kindness.
kindness, right?
Doesn't cost
Patience.
anything to be kind, does it?
Hey, I did a random act of kindness at Stewart's the other day. Guy behind me.
That's your place to do a
I
random
know,
act of
because I'm in
kindness
there all the
is
time. I know.
I'm gonna go to Stewart. Maybe I'll get some
And
free
wait,
out of it.
you're just gonna wait for Tony. Yeah.
Wait.
Random act of kindness to happen.
Waiting.
Yeah. So, and the guy was like shocked. He was like, "What? What?
Yeah. Good. What'd you do?
Merry Christmas."
No?
Bought
Yeah,
some coffee.
Couple coffees. You know, I had a couple coffees.
Well, we
and
know
some-
you're not buying a tank of gas.
Not unless you got your credit card.
Kind. I mean, that's just crazy. No. Yeah, that's it. Right. That's $67,
Yeah.
please. How about the cup of coffee? You know, 1 out of 2's not bad. So things are going well down there, employment-wise. Is everybody struggling down there too, Scott?
Signs like hiring and
So one of the great side effects of the lack of employees is the beggars have disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
Because all they usually get is advice.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
man, there's help wanted signs in every window. You don't need a donation, you need a job.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
But yes, there are several places in the country that are
Struggling.
draining, and there are several that are growing. Just
Yeah.
last night on the news, California was featured because they've lost they're losing
Yeah.
an immense number of people who are leaving for Arizona,
Yeah.
New Mexico,
Right, Colorado.
Texas, Colorado, I don't know Colorado,
Not as
but
much,
a little closer. And much of the many
Right.
people, I shouldn't say much, many people in the Northeast who are
State
done
of Washington, maybe?
are leaving and going to North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas,
Right, Georgia, maybe?
Georgia, and of course Florida.
Yeah.
So the trades
Yeah.
are booming.
Yeah.
In
good.
those
Cannot
states.
build. They cannot build homes fast enough. Therefore, they also need plumbers, electricians, tradesmen, women, tradeswomen, police officers, teachers,
Firefighters.
public works personnel,
All of the above.
heavy equipment operators. Whatever it is that you might need to support new infrastructure, they need because there are so many people moving in. That also raises the tax base
Right.
because every new resident is paying property taxes, and the tax structure is
Different.
very different there than it is in the Northeast, or at least here in New York.
Yeah. Real estate taxes.
Taxes are considerably lower, and there's no separate school tax.
Right.
You pay it through your property taxes.
no kidding.
It's labeled in your property taxes, but it's very small amount.
Wow.
So therefore, the economy is booming.
Yeah.
The economy is booming.
Yeah.
People are happy. Everything is
warm.
open. Everything is open.
Yeah.
There's no mask shaming. You may wear a mask if you like,
Yeah.
and you do not need to if you don't want
Right.
to.
And the rates are probably about the same as around here, I would say, yeah, or
Well,
New York State.
It's been labeled as a state with a high incidence of the new variant.
Omicron, yeah.
But the hospitals are managing that. Doctors are managing that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are vaccinated. So I mean, I've got all my vaxes there, plus the booster.
So give us a typical day in your life. Let's-
Really, really, people will hate me, Tony. They'll hate me.
No, I mean, it's
Gonna
it's got
go
to be.
drive over the Rhine Cliff Bridge.
yeah.
I know you were saying you're in the gym. You look
Oh, yes,
great, by the way.
Thank you,
look
thank you very
amazing.
much. I
You
feel
look
the
amazing.
best other than missing my wife and,
Yeah, I'm
and
sure, your
children.
family.
I'm feel the best I have in ever.
Good.
Ever is
With or
good.
without a rotten heart.
Ever is good.
I get up early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and talk to the dog. The dog and I have a conversation. I let her out. We have a beautiful patio in
Right.
the back with a nice area, pool. And I let her out in the yard. I have myself a cup of joe and head off to the Marsh Creek Country Club gym, where I see all my new friends there.
How's Bad Andy doing?
And Andy sold his house and is moving to Europe.
What the hell?
Yeah,
Where in Europe?
Greece
Wow.
or Spain or Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah. Only for half the year, though. He's going to spend half the year here.
Wow. That's interesting. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I have to take a minute to
Yeah,
note
yeah, yeah.
some of the wonderful people that I've come across there. Some of the most accomplished people I've ever met in my life. You wouldn't know them,
Yeah.
they don't wear it on their sleeves
Right.
because truly successful people don't need to tell you how successful
Brag
they are.
on it.
Right?
Exactly.
They just live a good life.
Yeah.
I'm serving now on the Marsh Creek Homeowners Association Board of Directors,
Good for
Nice.
you.
in charge of safety and security. Big surprise, right? Big
Good for
surprise.
you.
Bang.
Oh, man.
I serve with a 4-star Rear Admiral,
Wow.
a man named John Hudson, who was in the JAG Corps of the Navy for an entire career, and then served as the dean of a law school. And I won't get it right, so I won't say it, but it's a very prestigious law school. What a brilliant,
This is going to be on
Incredible
YouTube.
man.
They'll be able to listen to this.
thank you, I'll let them know, yeah. I met him, one of my new close friends is a man named Mohammed Mirzai. He lives up the street from me. He and his wife Sharon were one of the first folks to welcome me.
Nice.
Mohammed is Persian. He came
Yeah.
from Iran as a child, and his life story
It's
is phenomenal.
stunning, I'm sure.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's the happiest, smartest man I've ever come across in my life. And, you don't know the histories of some of the folks
Yeah, everyone's
that you
got a
interact
story,
with. I'm
man.
humbled. Anyway, I'm daily humbled by the people that I get to interact with.
All right.
And
So
love
you're
it
at the
there.
gym, you're finishing
Oh,
your
yeah, all right.
workout. Let's
I
go
do a
back to
couple hours at the gym.
couple hours at the gym.
I go home, I get myself
Cardio,
buffed
little
up.
weights,
I
right.
have to weigh myself
Oil up,
every
you
day
oil
for the
up.
doctor. Yeah. I put my sunscreen on.
Right.
I have to decide whether it's shorts or a bathing suit because, if I'm going to go to the boat, I'll wear shorts. But if I'm going
Right.
to hang around by the pool all day, I'll wear a bathing suit.
Right.
I-
Hang around the pool all day.
Big decision is what,
Now, is there a lot of jealousy with your wife?
I do not brag about it to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Hope
don't,
she's
I
not
don't
listening.
tell her, she's not, well, I don't think so, she might be.
T minus like 30 days
Right.
and counting.
I'd
I mean,
kill my husband,
work
I'd be
days.
like-
No, I'm so blessed
I know.
for her to have sent me down early to,
Yeah.
do the house.
Set up the nest.
The nest is ready.
Yeah, the nest is ready.
Lifestyle and the daily schedule is set to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
Done.
yeah, yeah. Good.
And then and I'm going to take a minute to address what you said earlier about the teaching profession and
Yeah,
the
yeah, let's
law
talk about
enforcement profession. But, I have to decide whether I'm going to spend the day at the pool or the marina.
Okay, all right.
I'm now involved, though. I'm an elk, so
Good,
I have
good,
some
good.
elk stuff once in a while.
Okay.
The board position takes a lot of time. We have 663 homes
Right.
there in our community.
63, you said?
663.
Wow.
663 homes, so, 1,500 people live in the
Yeah.
community, plus we're a country club, so we have 1,000 cars a day
Golf
coming and
course
going.
too, obviously.
Big 18-hole golf course, restaurant, pool. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a busy place. There's a lot
Yeah,
going
there's a
on
lot
there.
going on.
And there's community property, so the board members have a
Big
significant responsibility that
Yeah.
you must take seriously and you must perform. And so I spend my day doing that.
Chartering it all?
The
or
slippery
looking-
slope, the fishing has been spectacular.
Yeah.
I told you
We see
before we
some
went on the
stuff
air,
on
I've
Facebook,
eaten,
right?
I've eaten sushi on the hook for the first time. Just get it off the hook and
Sushi
somebody
on
slices
the
a hunk
hook.
of blackfin tuna off and hands it to you. That's nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's living the dream.
Great fishing, great life.
So,
I have to decide what time I can have my first cocktail. Is 12 too early? Yes. It's been determined that 12 is too early.
and then
What
sleep.
time is it usually?
I really try to wait till 4. I really try to wait till
Okay,
4.
that's
And
good.
I usually make it. Yeah, I usually make it.
And then go to sleep and repeat.
I go to bed in bed at 9
Notice it
o'clock.
says First cocktail.
First, I don't
Yeah.
have many.
Yeah.
No.
Right,
I don't have
right.
many, maybe 2.
And a
on
half.
Friday, 3.
Get crazy.
I make sure I catch up on watching the 5.
Right.
I watch the best news on television, Brett Baer.
Right.
Jeopardy, to keep my mind sharp.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
And I wait at 9 o'clock. I go to sleep to Michael Smerconish, who's taken over for the Cuomo who won't be named on
Right.
CNN, and is doing a great job presenting a fair and balanced approach to
Great.
news,
Oh,
even on
good.
CNN. And that's what I fall asleep to.
Good.
Good to hear.
Good. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy
That's my
for
day.
you.
That's my day.
I'm so
I clean the
happy.
house. I do laundry.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, I do all that stuff in between.
I'm not sure I can get to that point. I don't know if I can do that. I mean, my mind is just too busy all the time. I mean,
Yeah, it happens. It works.
it does happen. You just
Tony
downshift.
feels so
you
good.
just downshift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels so good.
You
Yeah.
downshift.
I
Yeah.
know. I
I'm a happier man.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, and
That's
to
good.
to be very fair, you had a very stressful career. Being in law
Right.
enforcement is very
Absolutely.
is a very stressful
Heck,
career.
I'm just going to tell you something. Being in business was almost more stressful than being.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I loved my career. I miss it every day. I had lunch yesterday with Jerry Marion, one of the men I went on the job with 35 years ago, who's still there. Jerry's still there.
Someone's just
And I miss those
Tremper
guys.
retiring.
Tremper,
Yeah,
congratulations.
retiring.
Oh my God,
Cliff,
what a
yeah.
wonderful, wonderful guy.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that.
Yeah.
Thank you for remembering him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it blew my heart up, the whole thing, but now I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, look, we're happy you're with us today. We're going to do a little business because we have to read an
yes,
announcement, but
we
we have Dan Ahouse coming on at 7:30 from Stockade Strategies, talking about some of the economic development stuff that's trying to happen in
Yeah.
Kingston, and we think it's succeeding. We
Yeah.
think. 8 o'clock is going to be Tim Wiedemann, so another double dose of those guys. And then 8:30, oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, we have Malcolm Johnson.
Johnson
Yes,
and
thank you.
Ritterhoff is coming
Yes,
in at
yes,
8:30.
yes. So you see your brother.
Outstanding.
Yeah, right.
Outstanding.
So,
We
why
have
don't
a
we?
couple, we
Yeah,
have a couple
read a little bit.
announcements.
Yep.
All Legionnaires, auxiliary, sons, Legion riders, and spouses are cordially invited to attend the Ulster County American Legion State Commander's Visitation Dinner, honoring Frank LaMarche. Is that how
Close
you say
enough.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Friday, January 14th at the Rosendale Tilson Post in Tilson, New York. There's a social hour. That kind of sounds like your life.
Every day.
5 to 6. Dinner's at 6. Tickets are $35. Cash barred. Buffet dinner. Please call 845-901-5196 by December 31st. So that's Friday, January 14th. And at the Rosendale Tilson Post, please call 845-901-5196.
Hey, if you haven't been there, that's a beautiful facility.
Is it really?
Oh,
Is
it's
it on
fantastic.
32?
No, it's, I won't
Tilson.
remember the name of the street, but it's, if you turn to go down by the bus garage, you turn right off of 32.
Oh, if you're heading out towards New
Head
Paltz on
towards
the
New
left?
Paltz, you turn right at the bus to go down by the bus garage.
Right.
Turn right again, and it's down that street,
Okay.
and it's set way back off the road. You gotta look for the sign. Beautiful, beautiful place.
Huh.
Under Sheriff Eric Benjamin's 60th birthday party was held
Oh,
there, and
cool.
I attended.
Cool.
I came home for that.
I was at an event last night, a Rotary event in Kingston, and Mark Casapoli and Frank Ruggiero from the
Couple of Irish guys.
Irish boys, right. They delivered a little message last night. The great job they're doing for the Ulster County Veterans Services Agency. I mean, Mark is a retired Air Force guy, had a big job at Stewart Airport. And what an enthusiastic guy, what a communicator. I mean, he's done an incredible job of just getting the word out about veterans. The Rotary supports, our Italian organization supports. And Frank is another guy, not a wallflower guy. He's out there with the message for veterans, and that's what you need. I mean,
That's great.
so, kudos to Mark and Frank, and they're coming to our little Christmas dinner. January 6th is up at Diamond Mills. The Italianos are gathering there for little Christmas.
So my mother-in-law has been wanting me to ask you if you made it.
Terry Dwyer,
Yes, Terry Dwyer.
yes.
To the house on 9W. I guess the whole Italian organization was invited to that house going out with all the lights on 9W, the Christmas lights. You know, the big one right before.
Anthony Mignon's place?
I think so.
Yeah.
She said that they had invited
I-
the entire Italian organization, and she said, "I
That
wonder
was
if
like-
Tony's gone."
No, it was last Friday, and I couldn't, I had some, occasionally I do have some work commitments.
I can't imagine what that'll fill in.
I
Have you seen
mean,
that
Scott's
place?
like, what?
I have not seen it this
It's,
year.
he does it every year. You would definitely know it if you knew where I was talking about. It's
Not
going out.
Bounton's place, not,
No, that's on
that's
9W.
on 9W.
Yeah.
And impressive as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
9W, right before Frosty Fest, before
On the left, right?
on the same side. If you're heading out, if you're going down 9W,
Oh, yeah,
towards
yeah,
the Hudson
yeah,
Bridge,
yeah.
on the right hand side.
Okay. I think I know what you mean.
Oh, you definitely would know. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see it for miles.
Yeah. I didn't make it, but I know he comes to a lot of our dinners.
Okay.
He's a great guy. He's the executive director of
Well, she'll be
Recap.
happy to know that she didn't miss out.
She
because
didn't.
She was very
Yeah.
worried that you
Yeah.
went. And she,
No,
she
no,
didn't get a
no,
chance to go.
I didn't.
Who doesn't want to party with Tony? I mean,
Yeah,
come
right.
on.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people. But so talk about schools and police. You were talking about it a little bit earlier, right? What was?
No, he wanted to talk about police.
I just want to say,
Right?
Yeah.
to your point earlier, what a challenge it's been for the teaching profession. We vilify people often in public service because it's
Yeah.
convenient, and if you watch the absurd talking heads on television,
Yeah.
you hear only the worst parts. But the teachers, the vast majority of teachers in our school communities are doing their very best in the face of adversity.
Yeah, absolutely.
With this,
Absolutely.
and I couldn't be any more proud to be a former police officer and watched your 12 Days of Christmas on Facebook. What a wonderful thing to do, and to remind them daily how important they are. And those that disagree with that or disagreed with the importance of police in this country have been proven wrong.
Yeah.
And are backing off the mayor of San Francisco. Last week restored, $600 million to their budget. because crime is just rampant. So,
you
so
can't-
thank you to the women and men of law enforcement, our teaching community, our public works organizations, the people that keep the roads clear, the people that keep life livable.
Yeah, absolutely. I
I
mean,
think one of the things with the 12 days of Christmas that's so eye-opening is, it would
what
be.
was it, 12 days? Yeah, because I'm not sure everyone knows that.
Yeah, so our local group, Concerned Kingston, was just, brings recognition to law enforcement and all that they do for us. We had a 12 days of Christmas where once a day for a different shift, we would someone in the community would bring a meal, and we would love to do it for everyone. Unfortunately,
Well, you can't.
it's difficult, and I did put it out there. Anybody else that wanted to do another police agency could organize that and use the page the Facebook page as a platform. But what it is every day for 12 days, the last day being Christmas Eve, a meal was brought to City of Kingston Police Department,
Wow, that's great.
Ulster County Sheriff, New York State Troopers, and Ulster and Town of Ulster Police Department. And
Not
one
a
of the
meal.
things-
A meal for everyone.
Yeah,
A meal for everyone
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's impressive.
And I think
banquet.
one of the things, when you look at the schedule, and some of the agencies have 12-hour shifts. So what we like to do is we like to have everything, the delivery times are scheduled so that you're hitting 2 shifts. So that as people are coming on and people are
That's
going
great.
off, those 2 shifts are covered.
That's so thoughtful.
Yeah, so some of the agencies have 12-hour shifts, so that's easy that you can hit everybody at 6 o'clock. But for KPD, where they have 3 shifts, and it's so, and Ulster Police Department as well, it's so important that we did those 3 shifts. And, one of them is, it's 10:15 at night, 6:15 in the morning. And
those
it's
were
not
delivered by
convenient.
folks?
And
That's
those are
really-
delivered by folks in the community. I think
Wow,
it says a
that's
lot
impressive.
because that's the reality of, like we have people
Shift
delivering
work.
at 10:30
Yeah.
on Christmas Eve.
Good for you.
Guess what? The police officers are showing up 10:30 at Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So,
How is that
we
fun?
should,
Choice.
we should show up to show our appreciation that, what? You're there on Christmas Eve working. We're going to be there to feed you.
I can't
Al,
tell
how
you
is-
how important that is and what that does for the
Or
morale.
6:15 in the morning or whatever
Can
it
I
is.
ask how that was funded? Or is it
So
restaurants or
it
local
is-
donors or
It is
Combo?
the community.
community?
So when you sign up for to feed, you are signing up to
To
fund,
cook, acquire, okay.
you buy, you pick up, you deliver, or you can have delivered. I will give a shout out to Savona's and Old Savannah, Dave Amato.
Surprise, surprise.
Right.
And Danny
The ones that
Savona.
always step up to the plate for everything.
That stepped up
Yeah.
and did multiple meals.
Yeah, they're
for
amazing.
them. So,
Scott, I thought
yeah.
you might try out your skating skills in front of Old Savannah.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in
I'm not gonna give the
Kingston
typical
Hospital,
joke,
you'll
yeah.
set-
Bear on
that's his
skates.
schedule.
It's like a bear on skates, you know.
He went down like and you can fill in the blanks. Yeah.
And I do want to give, you brought that up, I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to Dave Amato because what a tremendous job.
Yeah,
He's
he's
really stepped up in
He's
our
a quiet
community,
force. I
and
mean, the
he-
guy is a
but
very
he-
quiet force.
It's
You know, he doesn't-
beautiful down there.
He's not a
What
big
you're doing.
accolades guy.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't.
He doesn't seek the limelight ever.
Correct.
Ever.
Correct.
And you meet him and you think maybe he's a waiter here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's
Yeah,
not.
not, yeah.
He owns
Right.
the place and he's a beautiful person.
He
Lawrence,
really
break
is.
time? Sure. Okay, man.
right.
Let's take it away. We're coming back with Dan Ahouse.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer? The drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy. and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter, yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
100 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, there are as few as 3,200. The Earth's wild animals can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quick from town of Ulster. I support Kingston Community Radio, and you should too.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
We're back on. All right, folks, we're back on. This is Thunder Thursday. Flash.
Ba-ba-ba-boom!
Woo!
Yes,
Wow.
There are definitely
This is the
two thorns around a rose. Is
Something
that
like
how it goes?
Hey, we got Danny
I'm a thorn among thorns.
Thorn. Yeah.
Welcome, Dan A. House.
Welcome.
Very happy to be here.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas Eve. The day that people like me actually start doing their Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the night
Hopefully
before the
it's
big
not
day.
Amazon because that's
finished
not
yesterday.
Gonna work.
No, it's all our local stores.
Isn't this Festivus?
Yeah.
Isn't the day before Christmas Festivus?
The rest
So
of
happy
us.
Festivus.
Are we here to air our grievances?
No. Pick another show to do that.
You look Festivus.
I do. I figured I'd do that with my little, Joey pouch. It's
Joey
cool.
pouch.
Yeah.
Isn't that a camel?
Yeah. Who the hell cares? Camel.
The camel with the Joey. It's like a hybrid.
It's a jackalope or something. So we're joined by Dan Ahaus, president of Stockade Strategies, correct?
Thank you,
Former chief of staff, Congressman Maurice Henchy, the great Maurice Henchy, right? Served our community faithfully for many, many, many years, state level, federal level. So welcome, and we're happy to have you here, man.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation to join you. One of my favorite shows
I
in
will
our
say it was
community,
my
Thunder.
idea.
You have brains and beauty, okay? What can I tell you? I'm just a
That's a
dope.
really good idea.
Perfect.
Side man, Tony,
I'm
come
a
on.
side man, I know that. I used to have hair like a judge. Now I have hair like a law clerk. I mean, it's falling out.
At least you got hair, brother.
Sorry to cut you off. Sorry
No,
for
no,
the,
no.
For the,
Nothing to cut off. It's just, we've been having conversations for quite some time about things that are happening in the community. And, it's an exciting time, I think, here in Kingston and in Ulster County. It used to be back in the times working with Congressman Hinchy in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
We were struggling to get attention, and we were struggling to get investment and resources and opportunity.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Well, that's changed, hasn't it?
It's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And if you look across the landscape here in Kingston and in Ulster County, there's probably a good $1 billion of investment that is either on the books
Yeah,
or coming.
it's a big deal.
To create jobs, to create economic opportunity, to create a better life for a lot of people here. And, gone are the days, I think, and gratefully, when we're talking about putting cement plants down on the Hudson River or gated communities up on the Shamgum Ridge. Instead, we're talking about, good sustainable jobs that are aligned with the culture and the values of our community. Smart growth, sustainable growth. There's a lot of challenges, right? And people, of course, we all know in our community have strong opinions and aren't shy about sharing them. So some of the focus that I've had is to try to bring people together, the development side, the government side, and find ways to communicate better, work with the community so that we can actually move these projects forward and not just talk about them and not just review them, but actually get shovels in the ground, create jobs, build them,
Yeah,
and realize that potential of the economic opportunity. So, that's really where I've been spending most of my time over the last couple of years. I'm so excited to be re-engaged here in the community. So many great people I've known for a long time and worked with, and it's a really exciting time, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. So.
I think about, and rest his soul, Dean Gitter, a guy who passed away before his project.
Waiting for his project to be built, yeah.
Right, that's a bad twist of fate. But I think there's cause for optimism. It looks like the Kingstonian project will move forward, will be moving forward. There was a public meeting held a few weeks ago with some technical difficulties. Now that has to be redone.
Yeah, they're gonna have a redo.
I think it's on the 11th or something like that.
January 12th.
12th, yeah.
Talk to, and because I want to talk about Tech City because we got some exciting news with that.
Very much.
But just for some of the listeners, and because I was kind of able to fill in some of the gaps for somebody who was asking the other day, but not as educated as you are on the project. As far as the partial closure of Fair Street, I know that there's a lot of public benefits that go along to that. Can you kind of take the listeners through some of that?
Yeah, sure, of course.
What that means to the community?
So the partial closure, right? It is a closure. It's not a abandonment in the sense that the road itself is being turned over to the developers, but it's just a closure of a portion of the street. And what that does is it enables the developers to build a number of the public benefits that were incorporated into the design of the project. Remember, this is a project that came from the city of Kingston. It wasn't the developers that came in and said, hey, we want to build in your parking lot. It was the city of Kingston that put out an RFQ and said, we need to find parking, we need to find housing, we need someone to do this for us. I know this because when that garage came down in 2008.
And guess who took it down?
Yeah. The world is coming together.
Did you knock the post office down too?
No.
But we were working, Maurice and I were working at the time, Jimmy Satile was the mayor, to try to find this solution. And if you remember, this guy Teicher from New Jersey wanted to build, and he built it too high, and there was a historic district problem, and it was an economics problem. So the city had been working on this since 2008. So Brad and Joe came in and said, look, if you incorporate Brad's property,
Joe Benora,
if you incorporate Brad's property across the street, then you can avoid having to build up too high. You can build out wide and address those two issues that prevented the project from going forward back in 08 and 09.
Makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. So as Joe and Brad went through the seeker process with the city planning board, there were design recommendations, and one of them was creating a plaza, a public place, where people can gather between the two properties. And it's in the design. If you look at it, go to the Kingstonian NY. I think it's .org, it may be .com. You'll see what the design looks like, and it's a really exciting place. There's fountains, there's benches on either side of the plaza.
Well designed, well thought out.
There's commercial space. They're also, at the request of the city, putting in public restrooms, which we don't have in Uptown Kingston. And
Incredibly important if you want people to come and shop.
Yep,
that's right.
Important.
And it's a burden on a lot of the store owners because people want to come in and use their bathrooms.
Not just a burden, it's also a liability issue for store owners. They can't have you go through their warehouse or storeroom to go to the bathroom.
.com, Dan.
.com.
And I think the project is better because of the back and forth input that's been given, right? There's been communication on it, there's been tweaks and changes, and
Look, I've been on the other side of tables from developers when we've been trying to get them to make concessions and changes to their project. I've never seen anything like these developers have done in terms of adjusting their project, from the design to the incorporation of these elements of the plaza, to including affordable housing, which, the issue with affordable housing, it wasn't that they didn't want to include it. The problem is, because of the nature of the project, they weren't eligible for the affordable housing subsidies that organizations like RUPCO get or others. So there was no mechanism to incorporate that. But talking about making accommodations, on their own, they've put 10% of the units in as affordable housing. They're eating that difference, right? So
Not like Repco that gets paid. They aren't going to get paid what those places are.
they're losing. They're losing the money.
And so that's always my response to a lot of people that have problem with the pilots and is,
Which does stand for payment
right,
in lieu
I
of
know,
taxes, not
but-
free.
But, they're getting a tax break. It's, well, who do you think
Not
is
really getting a
paying-
tax break. They're
Well, I
restructuring
know.
how they pay it.
No,
And
But in
that's-
addition to that is, who do you think is paying
Yeah,
for
the
the
tab.
additional, for the 10%? Somebody's got to pick up that
taxpayers.
tab.
It's the
Yeah.
And getting back to your question about the
Yeah.
street closure, so in addition to building that plaza, the developers are maintaining it, they're maintaining the restrooms, they're maintaining the bridge that's going to.
The developers are.
The developers.
Go over Schwenk
Okay.
Drive.
Developers are, that's going to go to Schwenk Drive. All of that's at the cost of the developers, just like building, maintaining, and operating the parking garage. So in order to enable that to happen, something that's been in the design since the very beginning of
Day
the
one.
planning process, that the developers now have an easement to build. That's incorporated in the project plan that was delivered by the city council to the LDC, so that the LDC could transfer the property to a developer that would implement the plans of the city, including this pedestrian plaza. You need to close a portion of Fair Street Extension so that you can cantilever out from North Front Street and build that plaza and incorporate that public benefit, which is a substantial public benefit.
Absolutely.
It's a 700-foot road, not like it's an interstate.
No, we live uptown. I never go up that road.
I mean, look,
Remember the days of manual transmissions and
Right. 4 speeds,
with
3
the clutch
speeds.
in? Nobody used that road because you just roll backwards back down into the plaza
Right.
every time you tried to go through the stop sign.
Dan, where will
Good point.
so geographically, where would the entrance to the parking garage be? Is it on the plaza side? Is it on the Schwenk Drive side?
So it'll be down
Or-
further below Fair Street Extension, closer to Schwenk Drive.
Okay, so there you go. So, okay.
Yeah.
So people will be pulling in there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's great about that is I was just talking to someone yesterday. I do go uptown quite a bit. I live uptown and I'm driving and walking.
Yeah.
It's crowded. There's a lot of traffic. There are
Yes,
people who
yes.
like to, talk about getting the New York City feel in Kingston.
discovered.
People who like
right.
to double park on our streets as they're dropping someone off or dropping something off. So
Right.
trying to navigate through those streets in your car is
Not easy.
difficult. What this design does is it pushes the entrance into the uptown district into that parking garage through Schwenk Drive instead of people coming up driving around on North Front Street.
Great.
Which is going to relieve the number of cars and make it a more walkable community, which is what one of the goals of the city is with this project.
So now Tim Wiedemann, we didn't plan this particularly. Tim Wiedemann is on at 8 o'clock, this show, coming in. Let's talk about Tech City. Let's shift a little bit because that was an amazing Can I use confluence? Is that a big?
It's a big word for
Big word for you.
big word for
I know,
7:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Pulled it right out of my
Somebody read his Reader's Digest in the bathroom this morning.
Joey
You're not
couch.
using that word at 7:45.
Pulled it out of
Unless I'm
my
in the bathroom.
confluence of events that happened.
Oh, that's effluence, sorry.
So describe that process. I know County Executive Ryan, many others in the county administration were active and involved, Tim Wiedemann being one of them, to bring this whole thing together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
It did happen
I mean-
pretty quickly.
Well, the circumstances that we're talking about today came about relatively quickly, but the environment
that's
that
been-
enabled that to happen
Been begging
has been
for
taking
decades.
place over some period of time.
Bubbling up like green
And,
slime.
we've had conversations about this, Pat and I, since he came into office, and he made it clear that one of his top priorities, if not his top priority economically, was to revitalize that industrial park. And so he immediately started taking steps, him and his administration particularly, Tim and John Milgram, his deputy county executive, to create a difficult environment for the owner of that property, both in terms of holding him accountable for the back taxes that hadn't been paid, but also addressing the environmental challenges of the property and bringing in the Environmental Protection Agency and Senator Schumer to really ramp up the pressure on the owner. You know, I had been working with him, with Alan, for, you know, pretty much all of my 15 years with Maurice, trying to find ways to get people and businesses at that property. And one of his, his reputation is to get to the 1 yard line of a deal and then change the terms, and then the deal falls apart. And so this pressure that was created on him to clean up that property and to be liable and accountable for cleaning up that property changed that dynamic enough where once we had a viable buyer, there was just way too much pressure on him, on Alan, to walk away from the deal. So I give a ton of credit to Pat and his team for setting up that environment to kind of contain the owner in ways that hadn't happened before. And then working with my good friend, who you both know, Scott, I don't think you know, Mike Oates from Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation, we went out and found Joe Cotter and Lynn Ward from National Resources down in East Fishkill. Brought them up here eventually. Actually, Pat and his team went down to visit them first to talk about what they're doing on their property, what the county was hoping to do up at Tech City. And it became clear early on that there were a lot of synergies. And so we got to work collectively as a team, led by Pat and Tim Wiedemann, who, you know, but for Tim Wiedemann, I don't know that this project, this deal would have been put in place. So we did a lot of shuttle diplomacy negotiations. This was an extremely complicated knot to unwind, right? Which it really was. Think of Tech City under Allen as a knot that's been pulled taut, and we have this
Gordian knot.
Someone ate their Wheaties.
So trying to unravel that was a real challenge, and Joe Cotter and Lynn are really remarkable partners in this process.
It's iPark 84 down there, right? And they specialize in rehabbing former IBM facilities that have been kind of just like barren for a while.
It's really cool. We brought some of the county legislators down to tour the property as this deal was maturing, and I think each and every one of them were impressed by what Joe's doing, and not only by what he's doing, but
I think it's
how he's doing
important that
it.
you bring in the incoming legislators as well, because there's going to be a new team of players. I think it's important that they're on board with this early on.
I agree. And some of them were at the event where Joe and Lynn were introduced to the community over at Tech City. But you know, same with the Kingstonian and the city council. We're kind of going into a new city council.
Right.
So with the county legislature, we got to re-engage. But I have great deal of confidence that with the county leadership and with Joe and Lynn and National Resources doing the work on the property, we are going to finally be able to realize that full potential of redeveloping Tech City. And it's not just, as all three of you know and your listeners know, it's not just the economic benefits, but it's the psychological and the cultural benefits.
Quality of life.
Yeah, but we finally, I was
not deteriorating anymore. We're building.
Someone said to me, because I started working with Maurice in 1995. And so the loss of IBM in our community was a presence my entire career with him. And we were literally every week trying to figure out how to add value to the IBM Tech City site. So someone said, this must mean a lot to you that we're now on the cusp of redeveloping. I said, think of what it would have been like for Captain Ahab to find Moby Dick. That's how substantial this is. And again, it's not just the economic activity directly and all the businesses around the county that are going to benefit from it, but I think we as a community, particularly the old timers who remember the good old days of when IBM was flourishing, are going to be able to feel a little more optimistic. We're going to have a little bit more hop in our step as we start to see those piles taken down and cleaned up, the other buildings cleaned up, and then starting to announce tenants in the property and starting to redevelop, rebuild. It's going to be very exciting.
For anybody listening, because I know you had sent me, if you go on YouTube, there's a video. If you go to if you put in iPark 84, and you can see what they've done to that location. And I think really visually, it was really helpful for me kind of to see what something like this might look like.
Yeah.
And it really is a game changer.
It's a big deal.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and just 2 seconds on what to expect, right? So it is going to be very similar to I-84, where you have food manufacturing. So think distilleries, breweries. They have a crepe company down there. They make it's like 1 million crepes.
That's crepe, not grape for you.
I was stuck on breweries. Thanks.
Or ice cream. I don't
a million crepes a day are made in their factories and shipped around the country.
Lord.
That type of food manufacturing, and other, I think cannabis is of interest there when you're looking at agribusiness, growing and processing
And then
cannabis
the arts,
project.
right?
And then, so the arts and film production, so they have a lot of film presence down in East Fishkill. I'm hoping and expecting that you'll see Mary Stuart Masterson and her team having a presence at iPark 87, where we'll have sound stages and we'll be utilizing all the resources of the community to support a growing film industry, other arts installations as well, technology companies, manufacturing is part of it.
Housing?
So housing is interesting. Joe is really most excited, I think, Joe Cotter at National Resources, about showcasing what he calls a sustainable housing model. And if you looked at the video, you'll see that there's a lot of time spent talking about what a housing component on the property would look like, almost like a group living, dormitories back in college with young professionals, with workforce, but sustainable and environmental technology incorporated into it. And he wants to use that part of the project as a model that can be replicated not just throughout the region and the state, but around the country. So that's going to be an exciting component of what he wants to do. And, there's part of Joe's challenge, right, and this is a good problem to have. iPark 84 in East Fishkill is full, and he still has people who are interested in getting property. So we have people in Ulster County, right, under Ulster County's leadership. They did this RFEI where people were asked, would you be interested in being at Tech City, and if so, what would you do? So there's a whole pool of potential tenants there. You have Joe Cotter, National Resources, who have tenants who wanted to get into East Fishkill, but there's no space, so they're looking up here. And then you've got Empire State Development and other economic developers around the region, the state, and the country who are trying to get their companies landed here in the Hudson Valley in proximity to New York City. It's interesting, talking about how times have changed. Joe told me during the course of our discussions how he had businesses who wanted to come to East Fishkill but couldn't. And Joe was saying to them in conversations, I don't have room here, but I'm in the process of trying to acquire property up in Kingston. Would you be interested in going up there? Now, back in 1998, if you said to someone, "Hey, you want to go to Kingston?" They'd look at you a little. They'd look at you a little cockeyed, like, "Where's
in Jamaica? Maybe.
Where's that?" Now, when you say to someone, "Do you want to go to Kingston?" Like, "Oh, I've heard about Kingston. There's a lot of fun things, good things going on
in the New York Times.
So there's a lot more interest in people coming up to Texas.
Let's talk a little bit about a group.
Silver lining of COVID.
Yeah, to some extent,
yes. Organization group that has been formed. The three of us have been involved with kind of an outgrowth of Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation through Mike Oates, and it's called Ulster Strong. And that's a group of concerned people that there would be a positive message out there about smart, appropriate economic growth in Ulster County. And as opposed to never build anything anywhere, anytime, any place, anyhow, ever, right? Folks that moved into the community who came here because it was overgrown where they were, so they're going to say, well, we don't want anything happening. But we know as folks that have lived here, worked here for a long time, that that's an impossible model to sustain, right? Taxes go up, people move out. So this group has been put together, Ulster Strong, to kind of send a positive message. And we have a website, which is ulsterstrong.com, correct? And it's out there right now. A bunch of folks have been working for the last 6 months or so trying to get this organization off the ground. And I think it's a great opportunity to send the message out that appropriate economic growth is okay for Ulster County, right?
It's not just okay, it's necessary.
Exactly.
In order to be sustainable, to your point, you have to grow.
Got to.
In one way or another, and you're right. We drove away wonderful development projects for years.
Absolutely.
I think that
Absolutely.
there's this. I think that
Thank you
there's
for
this-
bringing one in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that there's some of the louder people. There's this idea of greed and developers and money and
The rich are getting richer.
right. And I think what people discount is the trickle down effect of what this really does
Oh,
for our
absolutely.
not for profits. And our school systems and our after school programs and
Who
funding.
do you think makes the donations
Yes.
every 30 days to the,
all the not-for-profits,
the NFPs that are having their
right.
fundraisers and balls and
school booster
These
programs.
and these are opportunities for our future, for our kids. When I say our future, our kids.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it. Unfortunately, it gets a negative, this vibe. But
certainly relative to the Kingstonian.
Yeah.
I know Joe Benura. I know Brad Jordan. I raised a family here. Joe, a little further south, Brad here, is a philanthropist first and a business person second. That family has given more money to this community than most other, if you combined everything else, in like-kind donations, in cash, in services.
serving on boards of
Come on,
directors.
right. Don't want the limelight, don't want credit, just want to build us a beautiful parking garage and a public plaza
And
and
for
bathrooms.
future generations.
And I hope they make money at it, because that's a good thing. It's a good thing to make money. It's not evil.
And I would say, going back to Ulster Strong, I think it's important to have a balanced discussion in a community when you're looking at these projects. These projects are substantial, and they have impacts. They have positive impacts, and they have negative impacts. Shutting down Fair Street for some people is a negative impact. The question isn't should the project stop because of one negative impact. It's looking at the net of the positive impacts, the net of the negative impacts, and then making a judgment about how to move forward with the project. And that discussion and conversation, I think, to your point, has been hijacked in some way by a certain group of people who are, in my view, on a lot of these projects, a tail wagging the dog in the public discussion. So Ulster Strong is an organization of, like you said, Tony, like-minded people who are interested in seeing the right kind of growth move forward, that really want to bring balance to that discussion. And the best way to do that is to share information, objectively make information available, because people who are engaged in processes that want to undercut the integrity of projects are very good at providing misinformation and putting it out there enough where people then start to think, well, that's fact.
And also
it's
allowing
not.
the
So
elected officials another point of view to hear from, because a lot of the loud folks just get out there.
Pressure, too, the pressure of being an elected official sometimes. I mean, some of these people are very intimidating, very loud, and
could bring bullhorns.
It's a challenge.
And even though the elected official may know what the right answer is for the community, a lot of times they need to hear from their constituents that, that is what, even though they know that they're sitting home or they're working or whatever, and that is how they feel, they need them to come
Silent majority, man.
So this group will work to provide that
so
balance,
important.
and you'll be hearing more about them. They're just getting started now. So.
And I think the key word there, you said organization, and I think, when I think of Ulster Strong, that's what I think organizing. It's organizing the people that, so many of us feel the same way, but there's really, there's nobody kind of organizing us all together and kind of, giving us a...
Can you hang around?
Sure.
Great, because Tim Wiedemann's coming on. We might as well just have a big old party.
Is this up and running?
I hope so.
If not, I'll step out.
I can step over and be the silent majority.
Never.
All right, let's go to break. We're going to come back with Tim Wiedemann.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
All right, folks, we're back on. This is Thunder Thursday. Flash.
Ba-ba-ba-boom!
All right, this is Tony Marmo.
Do that.
Val Dwyer.
Our
Scott Harrington.
Guy who
We got to get that on tape. So when he's gone,
Yeah.
I mean, even though yours is good, Val.
Yeah, mine is not that.
Yeah. He's
This
got
is so deep,
The
and
boom is more meaningful than mine. Mine's just a little deeper. Yeah.
We're also joined this half-hour segment. Dan A. House is staying around from Stockade Strategies. Thank you so much.
Growing by the half hour.
Growing,
I love it.
beautiful.
We got to get another chair and a microphone.
From Malcolm Johnson. And we're joined this half-hour segment by Tim Wiedemann, Director of Ulster County Economic Development. Thank you very much. We've been singing your praises recently, but I know you're probably going to tell us that this has been a team effort, correct?
Of course. And
Right.
the guy to my left is one of the team, and
Right.
a lot of other folks working behind the scenes over the last several months to try to make this whole Tech City thing that has hit the news recently happen. So.
Right.
Well, thank you.
By the way,
So
can I
exciting.
let me just interrupt? We have no birthdays, Lawrence. Just FYI.
we didn't have any
I
yesterday
honestly
either.
think people are just so crazy busy that they didn't have time to
Forgot.
call in people's birthdays.
And by the way, if
They're all celebrating Festivus.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it is. Everyone's celebrating Festivus.
and if your birthday is on Christmas, I mean, you kind of got gypped, didn't you?
Yeah, right.
I would say that you share it with the greatest human ever to
That's true. That's true.
walk the planet.
That's true.
So
But
do
when
I.
you're a kid, when you're 7, 8, 9 years old,
You got
get
gypped.
you got the Christmas presents and the birthday presents.
That's like rain on your wedding. We don't fall for that kind of stuff.
In the tent business, we love it.
Right, it's true. Happy
We pray for
birthday!
rain on your wedding.
Happy birthday to all those folks that are celebrating today, tomorrow, because there are birthdays. So back to Tim Wiedemann. So So, yeah, team effort, public sector. What I love about what's happening is the public sector, private sector, government coming together with businesses and the community to make positive things happen.
Well, that's really
right?
what it takes, especially on a site like that. It's so big, so complicated that I think part of what made all this work, it was a proactive stance from government at the beginning here. Like quite frankly, all this started with a foreclosure action that the county took that really put the pressure on the current owner to a point where I think he was willing to have conversations he hasn't been willing to have in the past. And then from there, really a great partner in National Resources and Joe Cotter that, has done this work other places, has done it very successfully. And quite frankly, we're lucky that, the kind of economic pressures in the marketplace right now have forced him to start looking for other properties, going farther north than they would have thought they were going to go a few years back. But Kingston came on the radar, so it's kind of that aligning of the stars, the actions we took and the interest from a partner like that. So public-private partnership is the right term. This is really what this is, and we're excited about what it means for 25 years of nothing happening.
A whole generation was raised with nothing there.
Yeah.
And to be clear, to Tim's point too, but for this public-private partnership, this would have never happened. That property, because of the tax liability and because of the environmental contamination, was so far underwater that no individual would come in on their own and say, we're going to pay the taxes, we're going to clean up, and we're going to pay market rate on the property. It just would never happen.
Economically feasible.
So that's what I was saying earlier with the leadership of Pat and his team and Tim especially to get us to this point is central to the success of the property.
And one of the things that I don't know that people are aware of, but it's a public-private partnership on many levels. Even at the federal level, US EPA has been one of our best partners in this. And I think
That's the Environmental
Protection Agency, which you would not normally think of as an instrument for economic development. It's obviously not their primary role.
Right.
But in this case, they were another pressure point on the owner saying, look, you've been a bad actor, you've caused contamination on this site, and we need to take care of it, and ultimately we're going to hold you accountable to take care of it, and that additional pressure is another one of the things that really made this work.
And an instance, interestingly, and I've seen a lot of this over my time in government, where you actually have an example of an agency, a federal agency, acting with flexibility and innovation and openness to kind of work with the community, work with the developer to come up with a solution that's manageable.
Well, I can remember some of the early conversations as we were starting to talk with Joe and National Resources and started to tell them of our work and our partnership with EPA. And I think, understandably, he was a little scared about that conversation. But then later in the discussions, I remember him saying that, it was a surprise to him how cooperative EPA was and how much a partner they are in kind of getting the site back up and running. So.
And the EPA, I think, is looking at this project as something that they could replicate in other parts of the country, right? That where you have a different role for the Environmental Protection Agency to play in the redevelopment of contaminated properties.
So where are we in this continuum, right? I mean, it's
a long continuum.
Right, we're not.
It's
not. How long? What are we looking at for? I mean, I'm hopeful that because it is kind of this hybrid, that maybe it might be able to move a little bit faster than a private.
Yes. Well, actually, I think it's usually the public sector that slows things down. So we're trying to move at the speed of business.
Well, no, but I meant as far as the secret process and things like that. So
I mean, there's so much here to unpack, but I guess let me start by saying that
where are we?
Yeah, we are in between. We are right at the point of transferring the properties to ownership by National Resources. So the authorizations we received on what night was that? Tuesday night. Allow us to move forward with that transfer. So now we've got, basically the way I think of it is that we are under contract for sale, and now we've got a closing in the future. And so that's where we are in the process. And so the closing will come sometime first quarter of next year. In the meantime, there's a lot of work already underway to make sure that everything is lined up to move really quickly when that closing happens.
Great.
So in the kind of deal that was struck here, there are timelines that the developer has agreed to. Basically, within 6 months of that closing, they have to get under agreement with EPA to start that cleanup work that's been sitting there, those piles that have been sitting there with tarps on them. within a year, those piles have to be gone. Quite frankly, I'm confident that National Resources will do that even quicker than a year. And then there's this giant building called Building 1 that's behind the Clock Tower building that's along Enterprise Drive that has asbestos in it, and that's going to be a big project, and within 2 years that has to be either demolished or remediated and cleaned up. And so within 2 years, that environmental work will be done, and then we set a deadline of 5 years to get the actual redevelopment of the project underway. But I'm, again, confident that National Resources, it's in their interest to get tenants in there quicker.
They are super eager to start getting tenants in, and they actually have a tenant, Ronnie Brook Farms, which they announced at the press conference is going to be there. As I said, they've got tenants that they've been talking to down in East Fishkill who are ready to go. So with all of that timeline, as we speak, they're working to get that property
Can that be done
filled.
simultaneously? Because there'll be tenants in there while the other remediation work is going on. That's right. So that's good.
And I think also because they've already kind of done a similar site, there should be some efficiencies as far as learning, the process.
They know a lot of, I won't bore you with all the details here, but there's a lot of kind of legacy stuff on that site. Even IBM, which is still doing a cleanup of some of the things that they caused. So knowing how to navigate in those waters is really what National Resources does. And so I'm confident they're going to move quickly to get some tenants on there and get that feeling like it's underway, even if the environmental work takes a little while because EPA does have to approve everything. That it'll start to feel different very soon. So, and as Dan alluded to, they have properties downstate, including East Fishkill, but also Yonkers and some in Connecticut. And they've indicated that all of those properties are filling up. And so as tenants, and we get this in our Office of Economic Development too, we get requests for sites all the time. And, there just quite frankly aren't enough sites. And so I think as this property opens up and becomes viable, I feel pretty confident that it's going to quickly end up with exciting things going on.
And just on the seeker question about kind of we were talking before about the review processes and how long that can take. There's been so much work that's been done on that property already, generic environmental impact, a lot of approvals. There's a strategic plan that's in place. The county has laid out their vision for development. So a lot of that work has already been done.
That's important because that is... there was a process. Maybe you guys remember it in 2009-10. There was a big process to develop a master plan for that campus, and the plan is great. It's just that the owner couldn't accomplish it, and so now we have a good plan and an owner that can accomplish it. So I think that sets this up to be quick again.
So twice you mentioned the seeker process. It's important that our listeners understand because these are terms that we can use and we know, but that's the State Environmental Quality Review Act process, which is daunting at best and crippling at worst.
A lot of landmines in there potentially.
Well,
right?
it's unique to New York. I'll tell you that.
Probably could stand a review to assess whether
I'm
it's
not going to argue
working.
that point, having been through it with Tom Perna and Hudson Landing.
Right. There's another. Dead soldier.
So if that work is done and if that road can be paved by helpful government officials for the developer, that process, to Val's point, can move faster than taking 10 years to get a development done.
Well, and again, the in the weeds here, but just for those that aren't familiar with this process, it's long, painful, sometimes results in killing a project because it's just not feasible to meet all the requirements. But in this case,
the money
the money and the time to do that. But
you can go elsewhere and spend your money and get it done quicker.
In this case, they did the thing that I think any project that's really serious should be thinking about doing, which is a generic environmental impact statement. That's a document that basically paves the road for a project, and it kind of lays out all of the requirements and gets all of the public input underway, and then basically results in a pre-approved plan for a site. And so that's here. So that's a huge value. That work that went in 2009-10, as long as whoever owns it is willing to kind of continue along that road, and in this case, the developer they're willing to continue.
That's great. It's a result of past challenges.
Past work.
And you say, gee, that didn't work the way that we had thought it would work. Let's find a better way to do it.
The other thing here, too, and again, I give Tim and Pat a lot of credit, that's going to help move this process forward more quickly, I think, is the extent to which the county leadership has engaged the community on the discussion about what should we do at the property, what's needed at the property.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
Tim personally has been keeping community groups involved in this
What is
process
that called?
directly.
Expressions of interest? Is that what it was called?
Well, yeah,
Or
so we
something
did a
like
bunch
that.
of that. You know, the request for expressions of interest, which we've talked
Right.
about before. So opening it up to say who is interested in using this site for what. But as Dan is alluding to, there's active citizen groups that have obviously been worried about what happens, wondering what could happen, hoping something would happen on the IBM campus. And, you know, to their credit, too, that they've engaged with us and they've asked us to come talk with them about what we're doing and shared their thoughts about what they want to see there. So I think ultimately that meant that as we started to hear that National Resources was interested, we could provide some guidance to National Resources. Here's the kinds of things that the community has said that they want. Is that in line with what you do? And just look at East Fishkill, and it obviously is. East Fishkill is so closely representing, you know, what we have heard the desire is here. A food, food businesses is kind of an anchor, an arts and cultural center, manufacturing, so all the kinds of stuff.
Microbrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So Tim, not to go down a dark road because it's Christmas, but but we know that there's going to be some objections. So have you seen any of those, and what do you think they may be? Just so we're kind of prepared for that.
Yeah, I think the objections really come from people who feel like they want to know what's happening and they want to have a chance to understand it. Honestly, I have not heard objections in concept to redeveloping the site. I mean,
It was an industrial site to begin with.
for so long.
You're talking
one's
common
paid taxes
sense,
on it for a
Tony.
while.
You're talking common
I
sense.
know.
That's the thing is, I think that folks need to remember that the state that we're in right now, and have been for 25 years, is the worst case scenario. We every year, the county has to pay to make the town and the school district whole on taxes that are not paid by Allen Ginsberg on that property. That's about $780,000 out of the county's budget that has to go to pay the school and the town.
Which are taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
They're
Those are
taxpayer dollars.
County taxpayer dollars going, you know, obviously the school and the town rely on that in order to make their budgets work. But
It's
in
a
this
circle.
case, we can let a private owner actually start to take back up that
Yeah.
responsibility. And that's ultimately what this should be about, is that site has been a drain. It needs to be an asset. And you know, I think when people understand that, I think they come around. They have their questions and concerns about process, and we spent a lot of time trying to talk about that process, make sure they understand. You know, and I could go into detail here. We know that there's been some feedback on how quickly this has all moved. But quite frankly, we have to remember that the opportunity in front of us is amazing. And every day we wait, we miss that opportunity.
And there are reasons, I'm sorry, but there are reasons why it had to move so quickly, right? There were a number of challenges that were based on timing. And whether it's potential tenants from East Fishkill who are looking to come up here who could leave, whether it's
to open their business.
need to open their business or expand their business, or if it's a change in heart from one of the stakeholders of the deal who has a reputation of changing his mind and signaling that he might be changing his mind. So there was a lot of urgency in getting this done.
But there's also a history of them doing something similar at a similar location.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there
They have a
was no
track
reason
record,
for
right?
it not to move quickly.
So some anecdotal good news, whether this is a barometer going forward or not, we don't know. At Norman Staffing, we've seen a big jump in people coming to look for work. I'm not sure if the money has run out. I mean, you know, probably 10, 12 interviews just this month, which we would beg for 3 or 4. Now so folks are coming in, pretty much all sectors. My staff is shocked, and folks are even showing up for interviews because that's the
You want a
classic-
job? What?
Classic. Oh yeah, I want to come and work. And where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, that's another ghosting. But no, this month has been.
That's great.
I don't know if it's the holidays. I don't know if maybe people are just saying, "Hey, I need to get back into the workforce." Because that's always.
Tim, can I ask you a question about something you said earlier? And this is my own curiosity, and folks like me who grew up and lived here and watched IBM close. And you touched on this, and I'm just curious, at what level is IBM responsible? And I'm no Allen Ginsberg fan. I know what he's done, lived through it. But IBM was the first polluter,
Right.
of this site, and what level do they still have responsibility, and what level are they taking responsibility?
So, good question, and this has been one of those things that I think requires some clarity, and when people understand it, I think they see the logic in what we're doing. So IBM, as a legacy of cleanup activity on the site, they had mostly chlorinated solvents that entered the groundwater under the site. They're under a consent order with New York State DEC, which is basically the enforcement that says you're responsible for cleaning this up. And they've been doing their job on that. And so in the last 6 months, we've had conversations with IBM and DEC that have indicated that the groundwater contaminated plume of groundwater has shrunk. And so that's a sign that their remediation is working. They've been able to deactivate some of the monitoring wells because they've effectively cleaned up parts of the site. And they've remained a partner. In fact, when we started thinking about the future of the site, reached out to our IBM contacts, and they indicated that they were excited about the direction that all this is going, and would partner with us to make sure that their environmental cleanup work continue to support the redevelopment of the site.
Well, and they had an existing relationship with National Resources, given the work that they've done on other properties, which makes it even easier.
So everybody's cool,
Yeah,
right? Everybody's cool.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, so over the next 5 years-ish, right? Is that what we're talking about? I mean, Val's saying...
I'm like, let's do it tomorrow.
I'll tell you what, Tony, it's been just over 4 years to go from purchasing to filling East Fishkill.
Yeah.
And given the circumstances we're confronting now, even with the timeline that Tim laid out, I would anticipate it to be quicker. We'll have to wait and see, but 5 years, I'd feel very good about saying.
A Christmas miracle. That would be wonderful.
In 2026.
Yeah, so that's good news for sure. We talked briefly about the Kingstonian earlier. That's certainly good news. It appears to be moving forward. Let's talk about quickly about the January 12th. There's going to be another public hearing, we think.
Very important.
Yeah, there's another public hearing of many on the project, January 12th. I don't know if it's the details haven't been finalized yet, but it's looking like January 12th, 6 or 6:30 at the George Washington Elementary School, and I would encourage anyone who has been supporting this project, is interested in the project, to make sure your voice is heard. Other people are making sure their voices will be heard.
Right.
So if you support this, if you want to see it move forward, please find a way to get involved. We're kind of at the end of this process, but this is a central decision point that, if it doesn't go the way of the project, could kill the project. And even though it's a more of an administrative point, it's a critical point. So,
Which has been in part of the project from the get-go.
Right.
yes,
Nothing's changed,
no
no
surprises,
different.
no
This
surprises.
is just...
And people can do it without going to the meeting, though, by writing to or making their voice heard without having to show up. Please let people know how to do that.
Thanks, Scott. Absolutely. You could send an email or a letter to the city council and to the clerk. But I've suggested to people
Direct.
just go direct to the. You can find their contact information on the website for the city of Kingston. But absolutely, if you can't be there in person, or given the circumstances around COVID don't feel safe being there in person, then absolutely share your thoughts via email or letter. Make sure
It's
that
just as important, because
Yeah.
they will take the preponderance of evidence
That's right.
All
from
of
the
it.
people who
Written
live
in.
in our community and are affected directly by that development.
Don't you have to say where you live when you...
You should have to be a citizen.
You do.
You should have to be a
Right,
citizen
saying a local...
of Kingston.
Yeah, right. New York City is a nice place to visit, but...
But I wouldn't want to live there, yeah.
So January 12th is a Wednesday.
I'll take
Yeah,
your word.
If you say so.
I'll take your word
I was
for
just
that.
hoping maybe we would be on the air before, but we're not. We're on the next one.
We're working on tomorrow, right?
I think you were going to talk. Were you going to go into Winston?
I just wanted to mention it because I know it's in the pipeline somewhere, and I know that's been percolating as well, and maybe either of you can give a little description about what is being anticipated there, and where that's at. Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it is exciting. It's another one of these important properties in the county, and it's exciting to see as the economy, kind of revs up, that these sites are of increasing interest. So, Dan, do you have updates? Because I can share my knowledge, but I think...
maybe just a description.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, you have 3 local businessmen up in Saugerties, John Mullen, who we all know well, especially
Yeah.
here in Kingston, seeing all of their
Yeah, yeah,
trucks
yeah.
tearing up our streets, and you know well. And Tony Montano, we know the Montano family in Saugerties very well, and Randy Richards, who's a businessman, longtime resident, have bought the property.
And I just want to say again, here we are with private
Locals.
developers who have a vested interest in our community and continually give back.
These are
And
not
that,
folks
I
from-
love to see that because
Carpetbaggers
these aren't
from,
people coming in,
And just to underscore that anecdotally, one of the first people who called them up to say, "Hey, we heard about the property. We're looking for some land," was Amazon. Amazon wanted to put a huge distribution facility there, and they turned them away. They could have tripled the money that they invested in buying the property just like that. But to your point, they care about what's happening in their community. They grew up in the community, they live in the community, their families live in the community. They want to make sure that whatever is done up there is done right. And, that's a property that's gotten a lot of attention over the years. At one point, the RRA wanted to have a landfill there. There was talk about casinos going there. The community up in Saugerties.
Woodstock was there.
That was a fun weekend.
That was an upside. That wasn't
That was a fun weekend.
So they've bought the property, and they're now engaging in a process, to Tim's point earlier, about now whether it's a generic environmental impact statement or a different form of planning, but they're engaging the town of Saugerties and the broader community in a conversation about what makes the most sense to be at that property. And they've put forth some ideas that they had, which includes an amphitheater for performance space, so you could have more concerts there, some hospitality, a lot of housing, right? We're talking about all these economic opportunities. Housing is so important.
Housing.
And then commercial and technology, but the most significant component of the project is going to be open space preservation. They intend to leave more than a majority of that property open and accessible for recreational uses. So it's a very complex process, and one that's already elicited emotional responses from people in the community, which you can understand. But I would caution people who are concerned about that project, either in a favorable way or a negative way, to be patient and participate and engage. We have an opportunity, as we were talking about at Tech City, to come together as a community to talk about what do we want to have here. And instead of shutting the door, which some people have, the first week that this was out for public consumption, people are saying, we're against it. Well, what are you against? What are you? There's nothing. There's no plan. There's no one coming in saying we want to build this or that.
Yeah, exactly right.
What now? So, am I making it up that I thought that there was going to be an indoor water park or some kind of amusement?
There had been some consideration of one of those indoor water park resorts, like Great Wolf Lodge, something like that. No, I think it's still being considered. But everything's being considered, and if you talk to Johnny or Randy or Tony, they'll say, come to us with an idea. And more importantly, if you have someone who wants to build there, then we'll entertain that even more. So they put together their own thinking about what could work based on their understanding of the property and based on who they thought would be interested. And now we as a community need to engage in a conversation of whether or not we agree. From an environmental perspective, from a social perspective, from an economic perspective, from a tax-based perspective, all of these need to be considered. And if you look at who we have in town government in Saugerties and the way that they're approaching it, plus the development team, it's a real positive kind of collaborative effort. And I just hope we can stay on that track, because what's killing us as a community, everywhere I look, it's that conflict, that us versus them mentality. It's a toxic element in our community. So instead of talking about why you don't like something, let's talk about how it can be improved. And let's have a conversation about what that looks like.
Which I have to say I think is very generous, because, if you go down to Florida, there's not going to be a collaborative conversation. They're selling to Amazon. Well, I mean, I'm not to be...
I'm just going to say, a year in Florida helps to cool your jets. You can come back and have a conversation.
Instead of getting the finger
Instead of getting all hepped up about it, you go, oh, okay, man.
Well, look, this is, we're coming down to the bottom. We have a minute left. We want to thank Tim and Dan for being on with us. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you for sticking with it.
Yeah.
For many years.
Yeah, it's like...
These are exciting times, really.
Patience, for sure.
We'll look back 5 years from now, X years from now, and say this was the the year that things turned around. And no, I'm not using that word. I refuse the word. I'm going to say spin. We spun it around. But no, thank you both for your efforts. And I know folks will continue to look forward to hearing about it, participating in it, getting, as Dan says, the fair and balanced discussion out there. We're all in this together, and that's kind of trite too, right, these days. But it is true. I mean, it's, people are moving up to this community for some, I don't know, nirvana. I'm not sure exactly what, but still, the folks that have lived here a long time.
Make it worth it for them.
Right,
Make it worth it for them to move
knows
here.
the struggles that we've been through, so.
And let them know what we're all about.
Yeah. My idea is to invite all the folks that moved up from Brooklyn into the Senate House. Have a big party. Don Tollerman, throw a big party in there. If you moved up from Brooklyn, welcome. What do you want to do in the community? You don't like it, Scott? I love it. Bring a band.
It's a party I won't be at, I'll tell you that.
Here's a list of the not-for-profits that you can join, the board. Here's how you can get involved in your
community.
community.
Bring a list of not-for-profits that you've donated to so we can announce them.
Now.
Yeah.
So it's funny,
All right.
I real quick, I talked to Joe Biker, and I wanted to do this T-shirt, welcome, you're welcome to Kingston, or welcome to Kingston, just don't Brooklyn my Kingston.
That's a good T-shirt. All right, with that, let's go to break.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
This is Greg Chorvis, and once again, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund is asking you to help the needy this holiday season. For the last 50 years, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund has helped less fortunate families have a happier holiday. Look for our collection boxes at the local branches of the Ulster Federal Credit Union, Rondout Savings Bank, the Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Ulster Savings Bank, and at the Kiwanis Ice Arena in Saugerties. Thank you very much, and have a happy and Merry Christmas.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
We're on, folks.
We're on.
We're on.
How do we start?
Flash.
Boom.
Under Thursday, and we're here. We got the crew here. Thank you, Scott Harrington, for being with us. Thank you, Val Dwyer, for the amazing idea of inviting Scott.
I invited you too.
Yes, you did invite me to.
Yeah.
I got a little text yesterday.
Yeah.
And said I happened to be here.
I forget the way you responded to me. I said, hey, do you want to call in? And I forget what you said.
I
but
said
the
if it's
way-
just for 15 minutes, I'll call in, but I happen to be here.
No, but before you said you were physically in Kingston.
Oh, I said, are you in
didn't
studio?
know. I said, are you in the studio? And I said, oh man, he's in town. And I was driving, so I couldn't text you back right away, so I had to wait a little bit. So
Good
what
to
a
see.
surprise.
Good to see,
And,
Scott.
thank you for letting me come back in. These are some of my greatest memories is working with Lawrence and the radio station and having been on for a long time.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
It's my little
Actually,
moment.
we lived, as you did, through your heart attack.
Yes,
right?
you did. Yes, you did. Thank you for mentioning that.
That. You know, that was quite
I
a
was here, then I wasn't.
quite a time, right?
And that's why I'm so happy to see you enjoying your retirement.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you,
we
Val.
almost lost you. And so
I got to walk my peanut down the aisle at the Mount.
Yeah,
That's right. Married
Welcome,
at the
Malcolm.
Malcolm
Johnson.
Malcolm
Yes, welcome,
Johnson,
Malcolm, yes.
representing the
Rondout House.
Bruderhof community.
Yeah. Right.
Rondout House, where I hope that our pending grandson will be spending his toddler.
Daycare.
Yes, daycare.
Well,
Yes.
all I can say is make it known sooner than later.
Oh, they have. They have.
Okay, good.
I
Waiting list,
think we
man.
got a
There's a
spot.
waiting list.
I
Okay.
think we got a spot.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We used our family influence with the Bruderhof.
Wink, wink, yeah.
Well, welcome. How are you doing?
Good, good. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry
Good to see
Christmas.
you.
Is the season that should be 365 days a year?
Yeah, yeah, but
But, you know, not really.
we enjoy what we get, right?
This is the time of year people put their weapons down.
Yeah.
Remember what the
Happy
day
birthday.
really is, which is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's what the day really
Prince
is.
of Peace,
Yeah.
the Prince
Yeah.
of Peace.
And, interesting because I was, I serve as a pastor in our church, and I was thinking, reflecting on this last year that we've all reflected on in many different ways, and trying to think, what would the angels that came, over 2,000 years ago, what would they say today? Who would they come
We
to?
say, what would Jesus do
Yeah.
when we're asking
Yeah.
the question?
What would the angels
And
say?
I think,
They would say, what?
I think the angels would say,
I said, woo, 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 woo.
yeah.
Flash from the past.
Yes. And I was just reflecting on this last year and thinking, what would the angels say today to mankind? And I think, I think there's so much fear still, and it's being pumped in by the media. It's being pumped in with different social media sites and things of that nature. And I think the angels would say, "Fear not, God is stronger than COVID."
Yeah.
And I think,
Amen.
and I think
That's a great
and,
message.
and yes, we should take care of our loved ones, and those are most vulnerable, and be safe. But yet, God is a God of life, and that's what I feel is missing. There's not enough emphasis. There's too much emphasis on the separation, despair, division, and there's not enough hope given to people. And so many people also find themselves isolated. And how do they find hope? I think it's by us reaching out, and I truly believe that as we remember the birth of Christ, Jesus actually still walks on this earth, and he comes in the form of an elderly person. He comes in the form of a teenager bouncing a ball in a basketball court. He comes in the form of two small elementary children crossing the street that you can help, you can say hello to, you can make sure they cross safely. You can hold the door for the elderly person coming behind you. And too often we don't see the
great
good in
lesson.
other people. We see the negativity, or we see, they maybe dye their hair that way. I would never want to be around them. They must live like this and think like that. And I think even
Judging a book by its cover.
And I think
Jesus didn't judge.
and I think
Jesus
even
forgave.
Yeah, exactly. Forgiveness, which is very lacking.
Huge.
But even
Huge,
us four right here in this room, I'm sure there's many things we disagree on. But why do we all able to come together, wish each other Merry Christmas? It's because we respect one another. And there's
care.
we care. And there's not enough respect for an opposing view. There's not enough realizing that is still a human being.
Civility.
And everybody is a thought of God. Everybody is. And we need to find ways, especially now in upcoming, 2022, to bring out the best in each other. And that's what I think is important. I mean, it's a challenge, something we think are going one way.
But I think it's contagious.
Mhm.
Don't you feel like it's contagious when you...
That's a good word today.
Yeah.
So many four-syllable words.
Not COVID.
Contagious.
Yeah.
You're contagious?
You're contagious with kindness.
Yeah.
To your point,
That
Val,
is true. It is true.
I've learned this. I've learned this from my newly found happy place. If you see somebody on the street, we're very used to walking by people, particularly people that don't look like us, or in places where we perceive people a certain way. A simple good morning, good afternoon, hey man, how are you? You get the surprised look, and they go, hey, I'm good, how are you?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
stunned.
That's all we have to do to start the conversation.
One of my favorite songs is from Joan Osborne, What If God Was One of Us? You listen to that song? It's just a slob like
One of us,
a
yeah.
stranger on the bus.
Yeah.
Trying to make his way
Good
home.
song. Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
For this time of the year, it's a great song.
Yeah.
And,
And I was reminded of that because I was, not that long ago, driving with a friend of mine over in Dutchess County, and we were near a crossroads or something, and he waved at a guy at the side of the street. And I said, do you know him? He goes, no, I don't know him. He's a human being. Why shouldn't I wave?
Yeah.
And I said, wow, that reminded me again, how much do I just pass by people because I'm in such a rush, But that's one of the blessings of Christmas time, hopefully, amidst all the presents and everything and the hustle and the bustle, that we do slow down. But that we do slow down and really remember what Christmas is all about.
Be with family.
And be with the family, be with the
What's
loved
really
ones.
important in life, not what's under the tree. It's who's next to you. Yeah, it's who's next to you.
It's not what
I
you
like
have,
that.
it's who you have.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very well said.
So, but we're looking forward to a great year. Still, obviously, participating in the city of Kingston and the wider community as best we can, and who knows what'll be asked of each one of us. But hopefully, we all rise up to the challenge and the occasion.
A
Whenever
year
it
ago
happens.
today, we were coming out of the throes of COVID, right? And into 21, saying, hey, 21's going to be a lot better. And it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, right?
You think? Yeah.
So now looking forward into 22.
I don't know what to expect.
People are tired, at least in my area, people are tired of COVID, as everyone is.
Bombardment.
But what they've
constant.
done is they've moved on from it, and they don't turn on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and get scared anymore. They say, you know what?
Yeah, just leave that
You've
out
lied
there.
to us. All of you have lied to us now so many times that we don't care about you anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to go on about our lives, and if you want to wear a mask,
Be
wear
sensible,
a mask.
be sensible.
I'm vaccinated. I wish that everyone would get vaccinated. But at the same time, I respect the rights of the folks who don't
Choose
want
not
to.
to.
You have the right not to. Because if I am, you don't scare me. You don't worry me.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
I'm good. My family's good. Those are
Correct.
personal decisions. This is America.
Yep.
It is a free country. We should be able to make those decisions. But I ask everyone to look in your heart and see if maybe the right thing to do is to go ahead and get that vaccination, because it's not the good of the many outweighs the good of the few, or the good of the one, to quote Spock.
Nanu, that's the wrong
Live
show.
long and prosper, pal. Live long and prosper.
Oh, Nanu was something else.
Yeah, Mork and Mindy. you 70s guy. That was Mork and Mindy.
Oh, man.
It's a shame I know all that, but
Useless knowledge.
Living Nativity. Talk about, please talk. My kids went to the Living Nativity last week.
yeah.
Please talk about that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I think,
That
that
was
was one of
all
the
the
blessings
communities
of
had.
COVID, yeah. I think pretty well, I'm not sure last year, but definitely this year, every one of our community campuses, definitely in Ulster
last
County.
year, too. I remember
And
going last
I think
year.
Orange County as well, did put on what I thought was a spectacular,
Unbelievable.
light show with drive-through,
Yeah.
which included a live nativity, which
Folks in
included,
costumes.
the whole spectrum.
Fires.
Yeah, shepherds.
Real animals.
Yeah,
Real
real animals, yeah.
Real animals
Yeah.
in the manger. Yeah.
And I know our Woodcrest community location, they had something around like 430 cars, drive through, And the best thing about it, once again, it was free. There wasn't any cost. It wasn't to make money. It was to bring the spirit of Christmas to those that maybe had something planned but had to cancel. And this was a safe way of having many people experience a great time together. And
What a great place to start a discussion about what Christmas really is.
Yeah.
If you have little children, you bring them through and see this
Yeah.
beautiful our kids are adults. They go. They look forward to that.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's for old and young alike. I mean, because in the end, that's who Jesus came for. You know, it wasn't for a certain age bracket or a certain demographic. It was for all of mankind.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so yeah, we were very happy to be able to bring that to those that wanted to come through. And I know Woodcrest did that. Maple Ridge community there in Esopus, Mount community, our 2 locations down in Ulster County. I mean, Orange County did it as well. So it was a blessing.
Such an asset.
We never truly appreciate all that's done to that point, given the tragedy in the Southwest with the tornado and the work of Samaritan's Purse, Reverend Graham. The Bruderhof communities participate in Samaritan's Purse at a
I think right now we have 6. Yeah, we have 6 young people that are down in Kentucky helping out. Yep. From our church, and then I can't dwell on it too much, but I know we're also working with Samaritan's Purse in regards to helping some families, refugees from Afghanistan, be able to relocate, and so it takes
great because the folks from the Bruderhof live the message. You live the message. You're not perfect, certain like.
Come on, no, really?
Oh,
boy, that burst my bubble.
You guys have the same barber.
We have the same barber.
Yeah.
We called each other this morning. What are you wearing?
My grandfather, God rest his soul, he was bald, and he had a sign, I'll never forget it, said, God only made a few perfect heads. Covered with hair.
That's great. I love
Beautiful.
It's a very wise message.
Tim Wiedemann and Dan Ahaus, who just left, talked about the positive developments that are going on in our community. And there are, of course, there are people who have a negative perspective of that and are working hard to stop the good things that are happening. A question I would ask them is how many in their community are volunteering at Samaritan's Purse, right?
Nobody.
What is their group doing to make our community
feed the hungry,
right? To sponsor a refugee, to volunteer at a not-for-profit, to provide food, right? The Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
This organization, this community within our community, has been doing this now for 3 decades, 4 decades.
Since 1920s.
Quietly behind the scenes, without a bullhorn to draw attention to themselves.
Just actions.
Right. Your actions speak louder than your words. We look for a time when we'll be judged by our character, right?
Well, we also appreciate these. I mean, not that we'd ever wish, for instance, obviously a tornado to go through and wipe out, structures and houses and ultimately even take lives, but yet to have different members of our church be able to go down and help, it also does something to their soul, to their being. When they come back, you can see it, you can sense it, a greater compassion for mankind, a greater understanding, more love, selfless love, giving rather than receiving, and the blessing in it, and actually really experiencing that. So it's a two-way street. And I'm sure, anytime anybody else, young or old, wants to join in, there's many opportunities.
Yeah.
Because we like to work together. It's not like we want to have our own little separate identity. We want to say, hey, we'll help facilitate this. We'll set it up. This is what we're doing.
Want to go?
Anybody
Right.
want to?
Wanna go? Yeah.
Yep.
You may remember, I don't think you were there this day, Tony, but we interviewed 2 young.
No, I was there
men.
from
Yes.
Australia. No, wait.
From Israel.
Oh, from Israel. Right.
Israel. One was a Palestinian
was there.
young man.
Powerful.
One was a Jewish young man, and
Very
they both
powerful.
came to stay at the Mount. And the message that they brought, they were 13, 14, high school age.
I remember that.
From 2 warring tribes. is where they were from.
Yeah.
And yet these 2
For centuries, right?
These 2 young men were going back to their community as they came as friends.
Brothers.
They went back as friends to say, this is on TV. This is politicians make this war. We
Right.
don't. We have nothing against the Jewish people and the Jewish boys saying we have nothing. We are the same.
Yeah.
We're identical.
Right.
That's the message.
We bleed the same.
That's the message that needs to go forward.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the message that your community helps to promote and spread. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Scott, a little bit, when your favorite event and opportunity is taking a selfie, you're not really concerned about the community. You're concerned about yourself, you know, and I guess it's, you know, but again, that said, I think we always have more in common than what divides us, but we don't get to the table enough.
Yeah.
To have that, your group, your organization, not organization, that group of Concerned Kingston folks, you're living that message. You know, you're getting out there, Val. And it is hard, but
you have a lot of people that push back.
It's an inch by inch.
Just want to be oppositional. They don't care.
Yeah.
If they perceive that you don't hate the police, then they want to push back on you instead of listening to what the message is.
And I do want to give a shout out. I'm kind of getting off a little bit topic, but talk about coming to the table.
It's your show. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So Peter Buffett reached out to me, and as you know, Peter Buffett gave the money for his organization Novo gave the 3-year the money for the grant for Rise Up Kingston, which has been kind of a controversial organization in our community. And so he wants to sit down with me, and
Great.
I'm really excited. I think I know he's sitting down with a lot of other people as well, and I think that's where it all starts. And I think sometimes I think that him and I actually have a lot more in common than you would think.
Let's hope so.
So I'm optimistic.
Good for you. You're going into
That's a
that
big
with the
deal.
correct attitude.
An attitude. Yeah.
So we're meeting in January, first week of January. So
I can't wait to hear about that.
Who would not want a better community, a better living standard, where everyone's treated equally? I mean, I get the fact that there are people in this world that are racists, that are, they don't like Italians because whatever, they don't like whatever. And so those people, if we can isolate them and let them go off on a little
crazies
world
on either side.
the rest of us, which is, I think,
the majority.
90%, live in peace and harmony and watch out for each other, build each other's whatever, that's where we need to get to. Your message is the right one. Your message, Val, with Peter, let's figure out what we can do.
Yeah, we need more of that. We need more Val and Peters getting together,
Exactly. It'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll get there. And so, I mean, I know this is maybe a little melancholy at this time of the year, but, we look back saying, what did we not get done in 21 that we wanted to get done? And we have an opportunity this year to do that,
Great message from the two guys that were here, from
Absolutely.
Danny House and Tim.
Absolutely.
Great message.
Absolutely.
Always a great message from the Bruderhof communities. I'm a super huge
don't give
fan.
up. It's patience. On the break, I was talking to Tim about going back and just how long it's been. I remember when I was in middle school, I was devastated. I lost 2 of my best friends that had to transfer after IBM closed.
Yeah.
And, it just... It just reminds you of how long it's been, and as a child, I really didn't understand.
Grew up without IBM.
You're
a community leader now.
But I do remember, and because I was asking him about the old rec center with the pool, and I do remember, as a child, I didn't realize how prosperous we were and all the great benefits we had, and it was just, I knew what I knew,
It was a given.
I went with my friends, who their fathers were IBMers, and we would go to this beautiful pool, and then
Tennis
they all
courts
kind of they left, and at the time I didn't understand. I was 12 years old. I didn't really understand what was happening. And like I said, luckily for Facebook, I've been able to reconnect with those friends, and they're all over the country. But you have to have the patience. Here we are, and it's been a long ride with that, and just got to have the patience, wait it out.
The message that you just expressed about sitting down with Peter Buffett, that's great. I reminisced recently with my great friend Tim and Lydia about the Bruderhof's first connection with the police department, which was negative. The first interaction was very negative.
That's crazy.
It was over Mumaya Abu Jamal, a convicted murderer of a police officer in Philadelphia, and the children that attended the Kingston High School that were Bruderhof members held a demonstration,
rally or something,
in favor of freeing Jamal, which which created instant animosity in the police department.
Right.
And the leaders of the Bruderhof community recognized that this is not how we build bridges, it's how we build ditches, and came to the police community
Christoph
and
Arnold,
said,
yeah.
Christoph Arnold, God
yeah.
rest his soul.
Around what year was this?
Oh, it was in the
Ooh,
late
80s,
80s.
yeah.
Okay.
Late 80s.
Late
And
80s.
said, this is not what we're about. That demonstration is not what the Bruderhof is about. Those were our children expressing a view. We are here to support you. And they built bridges to the point where those communities couldn't be any closer now.
Oh my
Our
gosh!
law
I
enforcement
can't believe
yeah.
the story.
Listen,
because
yeah,
I
it was-
didn't
it was-
know
it must have
that.
been-
You would
that's
have been a
great.
kid in high school then.
Well, so
Yeah, it must have been like the end of the 90s,
Girl
something like
Scouts.
that, end of the 90s.
I was a Girl
towards the end of the
Scout.
90s.
Girl
Community-
Scout.
Yeah.
Sold a lot of cookies.
That's right. The community showed up with food at the police station, at the Kingston Police Station,
That's amazing.
vegetables and bread, and said, hey,
Let's be friends.
Yeah.
let's sit down
Yeah.
at the table
Yeah.
and let's talk. And
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
And look at the bond that was formed.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. That's a
Friendships
great
made.
story, Scott.
Yep.
Malcolm, where are you from originally? Where are you?
Oh, wow, originally.
Well,
Original. Well,
The original
I'm
Malcolm.
actually a dual citizen, believe it or not. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah, yep.
You're the first Nova Scotian I've ever met.
No. Don't I look like I come from Nova
yeah.
Scotia? Can't you tell?
Scotian.
Hey?
Absolutely.
Canadian all the way, right? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You're a cod fisherman, right?
Yeah.
Bacala.
Yeah. But my parents then came and lived at one of the Bruderhof communities when I was age 5.
Oh, wow.
And so I sort of grew up in the Bruderhof setting, but left for quite a few of my high school years.
Okay.
And eventually
Found your way
felt
back.
guided back to become a member myself. So
And become a
So
pastor.
happy.
yeah. Well, that was asked of me. I didn't jump at that one. I was happy doing other things. But someone has
you on the shoulder.
Yeah, someone has to spread the good word.
That
right?
was a calling, my friend.
Yeah.
Just the
It was
right
a message.
person.
Yeah.
That's
Not to dive into personal things, but actually, there's blessings all around, and I'll just tell a personal one that I experienced this year. Speaking of being born in Nova Scotia, I was adopted.
Halifax.
Yeah, Halifax, right out. Born in Halifax, and my short little story here is that this year I turned 46, so it's been 46 years. This year, I met my biological father. Yeah,
how cool was
yeah,
that?
yeah. It was quite a blessing.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
Where
yeah.
does he live, Malcolm?
Outside Halifax, still. Yep, just outside in an area called Hammond's Plains.
So how did you meet? Because wasn't the border
23andMe and Ancestry.
Right,
Yeah.
23andMe,
No,
okay.
the borders opened up. I think end of August.
Okay.
So I basically went like a couple weeks after it
Okay.
opened up.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and met other family members as well.
Yeah.
So it was
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, and I mean that's my little story, but that's what I'm trying to
How
say is
cool
there's
is
so
that?
many other things that are happening in people's lives, and that's what the positive side of people's lives needs to get told and
Promoted,
fanned and that those flames rise up, not the negative side. And there's so much destruction. There's so many. There's suicides. There's and another one that is I'm passionate about is also the fight for the unborn. That we protect their lives as well. And then another thing I mentioned to Val yesterday, which I do want to say, excuse me, is at Christmas time, I want to think also of those men and women who are in our armed forces, who are
Yes.
serving, who are
Yes.
not with their
Yes.
families. There's
Yes.
kids
Thank you.
that don't have dad home, don't have mom home, don't have brother, uncle,
Or
aunt.
maybe we'll never see dad
Yeah.
again or mom again
Yeah.
because they've been lost in the armed forces.
Yeah, yep. And then there'll be those EMS workers on Christmas morning that will be sitting around a tree and suddenly have to get called, or law enforcement, firefighters.
Doctors,
Yeah,
nurses.
Thanks for remembering them all, Malcolm.
Yeah.
We have
So-
a minute. So, Val, thank you for another inspirational invite. To really, what a great message to end our show for this. For this year, this is your last show.
Signing off for the year.
Yep. And Scott, it's so good to see you, brother.
Yeah.
Can I just say congratulations to my daughter and son-in-law,
Yes.
Chelsea and Sean Becker,
Yes.
with the birth of our first grandchild imminent. Thank you.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you, and to my son Charlie,
tough.
who will be graduating from Columbia University next year
for
with a
him.
master's degree from
Barrington,
Columbia.
you're a blessed
I'm
man.
blessed, and my wife, congratulations on your wonderful career.
Yep.
I love
Thank you
you,
for joining
and
us.
you are my inspiration.
Malcolm, we'll see you again.
Yes, definitely. I look forward to
Lawrence,
coming
Merry
again in
Christmas
2022.
to Mom and you too.
Merry Christmas
Have
to you guys
Have
as
a
well.
great day tomorrow. No, Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, too, Christmas Eve.
Tomorrow's
Christmas Eve.
Festivus
We're
today?
doing the 7 fish dinner at my
I was
sister's
gonna say,
tomorrow.
don't you do your big Italian?
Oh, yeah, man, that's tomorrow night. I'm not eating today or
Better strap
tomorrow
on a bag.
until around 2
Fasting.
o'clock. Yeah,
Right.
fasting a little bit. But yeah, it's been a great year, and everyone, again, an act of kindness. That's all. It starts with you. It starts with you.
And it's
Great
contagious.
message.
The only
Good
selfie
contagious.
should be
Good contagious.
good contagious.
An act of
Good
kindness, and it
contagious.
starts with you. That's
Yeah.
great.
God bless. Thank you. Lawrence, take it
All
away.
right, take care, guys.